The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to the Happiness Jungle. My name is Cami Baker. I'm your host for the day, the guest host, as Lyn-Dee Eldridge is out in the world being the best speaker she can possibly be. Super excited for her career. So today, Cami Baker here, and I want to introduce you to a relatively new friend of mine. I was at an engagement, about 4 months ago. It was for Dress for Success Worcester, and it was a beautiful luncheon, beautiful purple color. And I was one of the speakers there. I've decided that one of my cause marketing campaigns this year is to donate a book. Every time I sell Mingle to Millions, I donate a copy to Dress for Success, because as they are helping women dress on the outside, I'm helping dress on the inside. And while I was there, I was fortunate enough to meet Kathy Barron. I want to say Barrow. Shame on me. Barron.
Yes.
Kathy Barron and I got on the phone and we hit it off. Yep. And as one of the original founders of Dress for Success Worcester, wanted to pick your brain about that. One thing led to another. I found out you're really fascinating.
Thank
you got
you.
all kinds of businesses you're doing.
I do.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Kathy.
Okay. Well, I guess, starting with Dress for Success, it's a local affiliate of the international organization Dress for Success. And so it's the local, Dress for Success Worcester. The reason I wanted to found it was because in my other business, I saw a lot of these women who were really economically disadvantaged come into the staffing firm, and they were ready to go to work. And if they had skills, we would put them to work. And then 99% of the time, they left work after a very short amount of time. You knew they didn't win the lottery, and you knew that they all of a sudden didn't become successful, that really something in their fragile network fell apart. So oddly enough, I was at a nonprofit board meeting, and you go around, you introduce yourselves. And so this woman sitting next to me introduced herself as one of the founding members of Dress for Success in Western Mass. So I pulled her aside afterwards. I said, "What the heck's that all about?" And she told me. And I thought the organization was really fabulous. It had the magic formula to give these women all the support services on their road to economic independence. Clearly, it was, more than the job. Getting the job was one part of it, but if they didn't have a support network, if they didn't have mentoring, and if they didn't have other resources, they couldn't keep the job and then ideally move up in the job to become economically self-sufficient. So I said, wow, that's a great idea. Worcester really needs this. And so she said, well, if you're serious, I'll help you start it up. And so I said, yes, I am. And so the rest is really history. We opened the doors in May of 2009 after about 2.5 years of going through the process of getting our 501c3, founding the organization. We had to apply to Dress for Success Worcester and go through this whole long due diligence. So we had to apply to Dress for Success International to get the status and be approved to be a local affiliate. And they came back, 3 or 4 times and said, well, tell me more about this and tell me more about that. They're very selective, and they should be. So out of, I think, 650 applications that year of people wanting to become an affiliate, we were one of 11.
Wow.
So they're very picky, and they should be. So their standards are very high. As a local affiliate, we have to adhere to those standards. We grew the board, we grew the organization. I was a director of fundraising, I was VP, then I was president, and then towards the end of it, my active involvement was being acting executive director. So now that ended in 2000, 18 in January. So now I'm an ambassador and I still spread the word. And
Well, I want to thank you for educating me on it. We had that phone call that day, and
Yes.
even though I've heard of Dress for Success for many years, and I've donated countless suits and shoes and things over the years, and even having decided to donate a book, every one I sell, I donate one, because I wanted to donate my books, but I thought, well, who could really use my book? Like, not everybody could. It's about mingling, it's about connecting and business relationships, and I thought, Dress for Success would be perfect for that. I met one of the women, Justina. She's awesome.
Yep.
And she loved the book, and we just hit it off. And so I knew that they did the dressing, obviously,
Yes.
Dress for Success,
Yes.
but I didn't understand all the behind the scenes. Can you share with us a little bit about all that
Yes.
other support that they provide?
Absolutely, and that's a good point, because most people know about donating the clothes and the suiting, and of course the women, that they do need clothing, and so that's the first program that we have, and they come in when they get referred to the Dress for Success Worcester via a variety of social agencies that really qualify them pretty much at the poverty level. And most of the women that come in are single moms with an average of 2 children. And they're looking to gain entry into the workplace, so they're ready to interview. So they need everything. So they get the suit, and then once they get the job, they get up to a week's worth of clothes and accessories and everything, head to toe. Because once they get the job, they still don't have beaucoup dollars to go out and buy their whole wardrobe. So they come in, they get that service, and then from there, we work with them on the first program, which is really setting them up for success, help with resume writing, if they need some computer skills in our career center, if they need to know how to present themselves, what to say on an interview, how to get a job offer, and to hook them up with particular opportunities. That's our second program. So then they get the job and they go, wow, this Dress for Success is pretty good. And so once they obtain the job, they're still, in a lot of cases, not economically self-sufficient. They really need more help, more mentoring, more tools and resources, and a network of support. So the next step is the Professional Women's Group, which is a monthly meeting where they get all of that support, the mentoring, additional resources, how to do a budget, all kinds of things to keep them employed. And they network with each other, they mentor each other. The ones who have been in for several years mentor the newer ones. And then from there, we still work with them to help them move up in the job. And so they stay with the Professional Women's Group for a number of years. And then we fully expect that they'll then bring it full circle and come back and actually give back to the community.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, and that's when we feel it's really a success. And so that's been going on for years. And so as of about December 31st of 2017, we could say that 4,000 children in Central Mass now have working moms due to Dress for Success Worcester. So that's
Nice.
pretty cool for an impact.
It is pretty cool. And I actually met one of them met several when I was at that luncheon that day. And
Yep.
one of them works for one of the realtor boards and is their program and program director.
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing a speaking engagement for them.
Great.
Because of meeting her there, and she couldn't say enough about the services. And I'm actually really excited because when I'm over there speaking for the chamber, I'm going to pop in and see how the whole thing runs. And I would like to be one of the people that comes in and helps to give some classes on building business relationships.
Absolutely. They can certainly use it, and that's really an important skill that they would find very valuable. So please go talk to them.
Well, and one of the reasons you were so equipped and so qualified to help is because of your longevity in business. And
Yes.
I'd love to hear how you got started in business. Were you always a businesswoman? Like, I was selling gum to other kids at 8 years old for profit. So were you always a businesswoman? And talk about your whole journey.
Yeah, and yes, so I've been in business for this now 33 years. I started when I was 12, I wish. And I think was entrepreneurial, and I always loved business and how things fit together and all of that. When I came out of college, I figured I really needed to get some business experience first before I decided what I wanted to do. Both my parents were entrepreneurs, business owners, so I figured someday I would be, and here I am. I fell into the staffing and search world, out of college, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I loved helping people on both sides. And I guess that's what drew me to it. I loved helping the people find jobs, making that really good match so they actually could go out and do the job that you put them out on, and helping the clients get the work done that they needed to be done. So that's why that whole industry appealed to me. And I said, you know what? I can do this better. I can treat my employees a little differently. I can treat my clients a little differently. I can add lots of value to what we do. I can help ensure that they'll consistently get good quality folks to fulfill their needs. And a lot of the time we knew we were successful because they wanted to hire a lot of our people. So that's how I started. And I really started with looking inward. I figured, okay, Kathy, you're going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week here in your new company. So in building it, the backdrop to it was always, I'm going to have to work there too. So what is going to be comfortable and what is ethical and what is good practice for my employees, for all the policies, for our core values as a company, how we would sell our service, and how we would position ourselves in the market. So over the years, you reinvent yourself several times. We then reinvented and got into HR consulting. And then with the last Great Recession, we kind of reinvented again and became more of a small business consultant, and now providing services, a lot of the same, but in different configurations. So do we help people hire? Do we help companies hire employees? Absolutely. Do we help them to, when they're looking to maybe downsize or reorg, do we help them to re-engage their displaced workers into other opportunities? Yes, we do that. And do we still continue with the HR consulting? Yes, we do that. But our niche has changed to really small business owners, and we really provide strategic solutions to the small business owner.
Give us an example, like when you say small, like what size of company, and give me something we can sink our teeth into of, you met a company, here's where they were, and here's what you did for them.
Okay. Ideal client would be a small business under 50 employees. Could be anywhere from a handful to like 40 something. And they come to me for whatever their need is. So it could be in the HR area, it could be to hire folks. They can be family businesses in some cases, although they don't have to be. They can be a solopreneur. I've worked with a solopreneur who wanted to hire their first employee and set up systems and processes. So that's one scenario. Recently, worked with a company, third generation, wonderful guy running it. He really gets his people, and he gets how to manage, and he's wonderful. And so his company's wonderful. He has a lot of long-term employees. He called me in initially to do an employee handbook. They had all these policies all around, and so that was a good thing. But putting them all together in a handbook, they wanted to be more professional in how they conducted themselves internally. So did a handbook for them. They wanted to do formal reviews, performance reviews, so put together an appraisal system for them. And then they wanted help with their website. And although I don't personally do websites, I'm a good marketing person. And so, and I knew enough about them by doing my foundational work when I initially met with them. So I knew their vision, their mission, their core values, and all of that. So could put together the copy on the site, and had my marketing guy actually physically do it and lay it out and make it look nice. I wrote the copy, and they had really kind of an old rustic website from years ago, and now they have a beautiful current website that really reflects, who they are as an organization, what their community is like, helped them a little bit with their employment branding and things like that. So it was really fun.
Well, when you mentioned the employee handbook, I can imagine these days, especially in the Me Too movement, and don't touch or say or look the wrong way. It's really important to have someone like yourself to make sure everybody's dotting their I's and crossing their T's and making sure everything's above board.
Yes, and so a lot of the things that I might do might be in the compliance area, and especially when the economy gets weak and there aren't as many dollars out there in small business budgets, they tend to come to me for more compliance things like they update my handbook, create a handbook, what are the employment laws that I need to adhere to being a company with 42 employees and so forth. So things like that.
So it's a company that's big enough that they have employees, but not so big that they have their own HR department, or not a franchise where it's part of the system. They need to kind of create their own.
That's correct, yeah. And there are a ton of small businesses out there that need help. And in my, I've been a small business owner for many years and built a staff and 150 field employees out in the field. So we had to adhere to all the HR things with our staff and with employees. So in doing all of that, very cognizant of all the rules and regulations. But then when we work with our clients, we're more engaged with them at whatever point they're in. They may not have, as you say, an HR person. They may have a person that does some HR, does some bookkeeping, does payroll, does this, does that. So they can't really give the full attention to it. So we come in at whatever point they need and solve their problems for them.
I know for myself, I've gotten to a place where I don't have brick and mortar. I don't have employees. I like outsourcing and all that. If I were to ever have employees and start to create a staff, I would need someone like yourself because, frankly, I have no idea how to manage. I have no idea how to hire and all. And I have clients that I could refer you to that as they're building on and they bring on a couple of employees, et cetera, that they could use you.
Yeah, sure. And this year in particular, the last couple of years, it's been all about hiring, and unemployment's been so low. Companies are finding it very hard to, obtain top talent that they will be able to retain and then promote. In general, I feel small business is underserved in some cases, overlooked. And the big companies have the big budgets and they get all the stuff, all the services, all of the resources and so forth. But I really feel, being a small business owner myself and walking in those shoes, that they need attention, and I understand them, and I feel they deserve really great services, but at a small business price tag.
Well, and they don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
I don't know what I don't know. I would have no idea if I were to get 2, 3, 4 employees. I've never had more. When I used to own a bar when I was in my 20s. That was a whole different world to go. But if I had them now, when you mention hiring the right talent and maintaining the right talent, my niche has to do with cause marketing and helping people to use a cause as a way to market themselves and their business. And a couple of the statistics that I have learned is that 50% of the workforce right now are millennials, and that of those 50% that are millennials, 56% of them won't even work for a company that's not on cause. And so, in other words, sometimes the companies and people I work with, we bring a cause into the factor, not only because it creates a whirlwind of referrals and community support and company culture and all that, but it's a great way to recruit and bring people in.
Absolutely. Bingo. It's a great way to be as a company and as a human being and as the owner of the company to support causes and to give back to the community. And you're absolutely right. These young folks, the millennials in particular, want to work for somebody who gives back, who supports things within the community, cause marketing. And they won't even go further than looking on their website. If they don't see what their community's like and that they're giving back and they're involved, like as you say, they're not even going to click on the application to apply for a job.
This is a great soundbite for me for the show. Say that again, that as an HR person, you're saying that there are people that as they're looking for a prospective company to live and work at.
Yes.
Say that again.
They're looking at the company's website in a lot of cases before they apply. They want to see a little bit about their culture, their community. Is it a place whose values line up with mine? Do they give back to the community? And if you don't have all of that on your website, they're just going to go next and not even apply.
See, I'm glad that I heard that from you because you live this every day. One of the people that I work with is the president of the Board of Realtors on the Seacoast. And when we're talking about recruiting agents into her office, you know, a lot of the times I was in real estate for 15 years. And when they're trying to recruit you, one of the biggest things is we'll give you a higher commission split. And the fact is, based on these statistics, there's a huge percentage of people, they're not necessarily choosing the company because they're going to make more money. They're choosing the company because they're going to make a difference.
Yes.
And because every day when they go to work, they know that they can feel, you know, that they're on purpose.
That's right. And so if they don't feel that through the website, a lot of companies are missing out. And the small business owner in particular, like you say, doesn't know what he doesn't know or what she doesn't know. And so I encourage, so that's why I was really happy to help them with that website, because I said, you know, you've got to show them that you give back to the community and how you are involved, and really give them a flavor of your culture and what it's like to work there. So critical.
So what are some of the typical issues that a client has when they find you? And we're talking a lot about HR. Like when someone refers you, if I'm out in the marketplace as someone who's a mover and shaker, meets a lot of people, what am I listening for so I can say, you need Kathy?
Well, it comes down to people issues, and that's in a general sense. And if companies have employees, which a lot of companies do, and particularly the small business arena, if you have employees, you have people challenges. So when you say people challenges, you know, employees are the company's greatest asset, and that's why it's so important to pay attention to them and provide an environment that's empowering where they can grow.
Do you actually teach them how to fire when it's necessary? Do you do the firing if necessary? Like, do you
I'm
literally...
not their HR manager per se, but you know, and for, you know, HR, there's HR and then there's legal. So in any type of scenario like that, I would, you know, give them some guidelines, show them where to go to get some guidelines and get input, but then to always run it by their, you know, employment attorney, because they'll be able to see how these things play out in court and what the right thing to do is and how to avoid litigation and all that stuff.
Got it. I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Because you are a very polished, very professional, very savvy businesswoman. Where would someone like yourself, where do you spend your time? In other words, who do you hang out with? What do you read? What inspires you? Where do you go to continue to learn?
Well, I learn from a variety of sources. I'm always reading business articles, Fast Company, Entrepreneur Magazine, anything I can get my hands on. And I like to have a variety, so I get different points of view. So I'm learning constantly every day. And in terms of, what was the next part?
Where do you go? Where do you hang out? Are there certain groups that you like to go to? Or
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, the Chamber's a good group for me to hang out with. And that's largely where I do my hanging out and networking. And primarily because I'm busy doing and providing services, I could, I'm sure, improve in terms of additional networking, but I don't always have time to get to other avenues. So
I'm sure with what you do, having a lot of resources, a lot of people to, like you said with the website, you're not the website person, you've just got a good eye, but you need a website person to refer, and you need a, you know, a business card person or whatever. So
yeah, or an HR person or a CFO. I'm certainly not a CFO, and if they really need that level of help, then I would refer to someone out of my network. So over the years, I've met and I know a lot of folks. So pretty much if I can't do it, I can, you know, hook them up with somebody who can, and people that I know well enough to know that they'll do a good job for them. So really that's been the largest, you know, segment is through the Chamber, and they've been a really good resource.
what about national or international? Do you travel to any big women's groups or big entrepreneurial conferences?
I wish I could say yes and be really fascinating about that, but pretty local. We were brick and mortar years ago. Now we're, pretty work remotely, although a lot of my clients are still local, so I go on site to them. Because I was so involved with Dress for Success and my own business, didn't go beyond that. Now that I'm just an ambassador for Dress for Success, I'll have more time going forward to reach out and perhaps go to these larger functions. But where we service is still pretty regional at this time.
Well, I ask because I'm always looking for cool places to go, and and I like you, and I like your energy. I like what you stand for and who you are. So obviously, I want to know where you go because I want to meet more people like you.
Well, we'll talk along the way.
Absolutely. So we've got 2 minutes left. What is a nugget or two of wisdom or information that you would like to share with our viewers that would help them along their path, especially as entrepreneurs? I really focus on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm writing a book called Build a Great Business Because You Have to Work There Too. And so it has a lot of nuggets in it and all the things that I do. And what I would say to small business owners is there are going to be times when you get stuck. Get some help. Because if you don't, you may think about walking away and things could be different. So find someone who's a strategist, a solution strategist, someone that you can work with who can get you over a hump, can get you beyond that block that you have, that can help you get a new perspective on things and can really make the business work for you again and be fun.
Absolutely imperative. I've been thinking recently that when people aren't moving forward, there's ignorance or arrogance in there somewhere. And when we're ignorant about it, doesn't mean we're stupid, it means we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
But then if our arrogance keeps us from asking for that help, that's when we flounder and get stuck. So that's great advice. And, whether from me getting sober many years ago to all the different real estate, network marketing, speaking, presenting, etc., always finding someone who's been there, done that, just as yourself, to teach people to do it and get past the learning curve. So we're at the end of the show. So happy to have you on. I know you've provided a lot of value. And what's your website?
AccurateResourceGroup.com.
AccurateResourceGroup.com. You have played in the jungle with us for 27 minutes today, and it's been my honor to have you. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.